begins with me, begins with me leading myself and all those types. So I decided to enroll in leadership training to be able to learn more on how to lead myself, and if I'm opportune to be in a place where where leadership skill might be needed, I can also lead others. Then after that, I also enrolled um, in a public speaking academy,
Yes.
Akan David Executive Institute of Public Speaking, where
Wonderful.
I learned, yeah, where I learned the intricates about public speaking.
Yes.
And
Andy, I don't mean to interrupt
yeah,
you. We all came early, Adrian, to vamp a little bit and make sure some technical things were working. And this is Andy, our recent graduate in computer sciences. And we have a wonderful array of students that have come already. And I want to start on time and introduce our very, very special guest for this series, which we call America to Africa, a cross-cultural experience. Adrian, we have a special video presentation to formally introduce you, if I can hit the button properly and honor you. So if you can allow me to share, I'm going to do that right now. And thank you for letting me interrupt your very pleasant presentation. Andy. Here we go. Let me start the video, and this is our salute to you. Adrian Richardson lives and breathes good health and fitness. He's a former senior contact strategist at Google, becoming globally known as the lead coach of the popular Fitbit app, a certified sleep coach, and a strength and conditioning coach. His passion for exercise and wellness started as a youth and grew further when he joined the United States Army, and seeing firsthand the importance of physical preparation. After military service, Adrian embarked on a new mission to find more peace and calm in his life and to help men and women reframe the idea that workouts are only done in the gym for vanity, to understanding that how we think, sleep, and exercise are the keys to long-lasting strength and vitality. Adrian's fresh approach spotlights daily small wins that keep his clients motivated and moving forward. This is Robert-Allan Arno, Executive Director, and today we're so proud to welcome Adrian to our AAHEF forum titled Stronger, Smarter, and Focused, as he leads us with insightful knowledge and his trademark positivity. I hope, did you hear it? Okay, good.
That was amazing.
Well, it's all about you, so of course it's amazing. This, everyone, is Adrian Richardson, and I'm going to add something personal. I was telling the guys a little bit before you came. During the pandemic, my agent, because I do a lot of voiceovers, had an audition for me for Fitbit. I didn't know what it was about 4 or so years ago. And lo and behold, not only did I audition for Fitbit, but the app was on my laptop. So I decided to work out during the pandemic because the gyms weren't open with Fitbit. And there was Adrian as the lead coach. He's such a kind man. And as I said in the video, he talks about those small wins and he makes you feel wonderful as he challenges you. And over the years, we became friends in the social media. And this summer, when I went to England, ironically, Adrian, his beautiful wife, Lisa, who you saw in the photos, and his adorable son, who's 2 years old now, Atlas, they just moved from California to England. So we met for some late dinner and we brainstormed and talked about all of my scholars at AAHEF. And Adrian consented to come and do this wonderful forum, which he calls Stronger, Smarter, and Focused. So there's my extra introduction. Thank you for being here, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is phenomenal. That I was not expecting that reel. You put it together and it's blown me away. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, I'm just happy to have this conversation. You know, stronger, smarter, more focused is something that I think we can all use in our life, and hopefully there'll be some nuggets throughout this talk that will stick with you, not just tonight, but throughout the rest of your days, really. And you can come back to this talk whenever you want and draw inspiration from it and pick up, you know, anything that you may have forgotten, and really just use this to help you drive forward and achieve your goals, whatever they may be.
Awesome.
So I want to start with a little background just about myself. You know, as Robert said in the intro, I was in the military, learned a lot about health and fitness there, got out of that service, and then joined Fitbit and was working mainly on the content side at first, and then got put on as the coach as well. And so in the coaching realm, I was already doing personal training, but it was for me an opportunity to have a bigger impact. And that's something that's really stuck with me, is really the impact and having the ability to have a positive impact on people's lives, and being able to touch many people's lives in a way that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on your own in one-on-one coaching through the app world, as Robert alluded to. You know, during the pandemic, it was a scary time, right? We didn't know what was going to happen. Things were shut down, but health, fitness, exercise was an outlet for a lot of people, myself included. And it was a way to connect with people in a different way, and a way to really refocus and not focus on the scariness of the outside world, but focus inward on yourself and your own personal health, and come out of the pandemic stronger and healthier. And so that's something that, again, has stuck with me since the pandemic times, and a big part of the reason why I'm here tonight. So the goal of this meeting for me, as I said at the top, is to leave you with some tips and tools that you can take with you throughout, you know, the rest of your college journeys and beyond, in professional life and personal life as well. There's always going to be opportunities to be more focused, always opportunities to learn, and then physical training and exercise, getting stronger physically, can help you to achieve those other aspects of your life as well. So with that being said, Robert, if there's any sort of housekeeping or you know, any guidance you want to give before we jump into it, please feel free to jump in.
Thank you, Adrian. That's so kind of you. First of all, we're so excited in sending out the invitation and receiving the RSVP from the students. Everyone is so excited, and what Adrian has carefully sculpted for us today, and it's so exciting, is very relevant to your college paths. Adrian calls it housekeeping, and if I may, by the way, there's going to be times and junctures for participation today and note-taking. I mentioned if you want to take some notes or bring a notebook, so I know your pencils are poised, so to speak, and there'll be some Q&A at the end. But if I may quickly formally introduce the students, and you'll see their shining faces. We have Emmanuel Acquer, who is a medical laboratory science major, and we have Daniel Ateem, who's a physics major. We have Gideon Hansen, who's a major in civil engineering. Xavier Anway, who's a major in engineering. Xavier Udo just graduated in religious studies, and he's on his way to the National Youth Service Corps, which is relevant because Adrian had that stint in the military. Victor Essek, which I didn't even have a chance to say hello earlier. Victor is a major in geology. Andy Promise is our computer engineering graduate, also on his way to the National Youth Service Corps. Sammy Okan is here. He's a business administration and management major, and he's currently in the Nigerian Army. And we have perhaps Janet and David and Ekekeri coming soon. And my board of directors member, Kevin Moore, who I'd love you to meet. And our artist in residence, Ephraim Udoka, is here. And Nesfield may be coming, who is our director of academic achievement. So that's the party. And again, we're so happy to have you with us and present to us this incredible event, Adrian. I don't know if everyone wants to quickly unmute and say a group hello and then go back to mute. Don't be shy.
Hello, sir. It's a privilege having you here, sir.
Hello, sir, Adrian. Happy
Hello.
meeting you for the first time.
Those are the beautiful African accents that we get to hear when we work cross-culturally with the America to Africa Higher Education Foundation. And then you get to hear Adrian and my American accent. All right, let's go back to Adrian and give him the spotlight right now. Thank you for letting us do those introductions, Adrian.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you guys for introducing yourselves. Pleasure meeting you. And as Robert said, we'll have a chance to chat throughout this talk, and there will be a formal Q&A at the end. So we'll just jump right into it. I do have a brief outline. You maybe already have seen it. If not, we'll share that afterwards as well. So we want to set a baseline and kind of find an intention for this talk, right? Like, we're going to talk about being stronger, more focused and whatnot, but we want to really hone in on fitness first. So I want you to think to yourselves, and feel free to write this down and write your answers down. You can share those a bit later, but what is fitness? Like, what does that actually mean to you? The word fitness is very broad. There can be a lot of nuance to it, a lot of things that some people think fitness is always in the gym. Some people think it's only running. Some people may think it's lifting weights. Some may think it's, pull-ups. So what is fitness to you? Go ahead and think about that for a little bit, and then jot down your answer. And then a follow-up to that is, what is your current fitness regime? What are you currently doing to stay fit, in shape, strong, flexible, etc.? So a couple of questions coming at you. I know it's not a school night, but we got a little bit of a quiz for you right off the top. So what is fitness? What are you currently doing for your fitness? And is fitness stressful? Is fitness stress on the body? Is stress on the mind? Is it something that is related to stress? And following along that, do you think fitness can help with stress, help alleviate stress, help relieve stress, help you to be more stress-free? So jot down your answers there. I'll give a little bit of a beat, so you can go ahead and do that. And if you need to think about it a bit more, go ahead and take the time now to do so. And there's a couple more questions here after those top 4. What needs to be added to your current fitness regime, or what do you need to do more of? If you could add something, if you had more time, had more equipment, access to different modalities, what would you do differently that you're not currently doing around your fitness? And then the last question here, how have the pressures of university positively or negatively affected your health and fitness? Have you found that being in university has made you, more fit, working out more, exercising more? Has it made you less fit, no time for exercise, or, not doing what you used to do prior to university? So give that, again, a little bit of thought, and then jot down your answers there. We'll share those a bit later, but I want you to remember those as we get into some of the meat of this talk. So I'll wait about another 60 seconds, and then we'll move on to the next topic here. But setting that baseline around just what do we think fitness is? And Robert, feel free to write this down as well. This is
I'm doing
for everybody.
so.
Yeah.
I switched one. I'm so sorry. I switched one question to, how have the pressures of running a foundation positively or negatively affected my health and fitness? A little humor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And those of us out of university are maybe a little bit older, like myself, go ahead and insert your job, daily life, etc. Those pressures, how's that affected your health and fitness?
Can you guys see the sharing on there that I put up? Yes. Can you see Adrian's outline that I put up? No?
Yes, you can see it.
Okay, good. I just wanted to put that up as Adrian was talking, if that's helpful.
All right, we're gonna move on now Hopefully you were able to jot down some answers there. And again, we'll come back to that. So don't feel as though, it's something that you need to feel pressure on right now, right? It's just, we're just having a conversation. I want you to just start thinking about health and exercise and what you're currently doing and how it's currently affecting you. So we want to be able to find calm in the calamity of life, right? Like there's a lot of things that happen in life that can push you out of your zone of tolerance, your area of calm and peace. And so there are different ways that we can find this calm. There are different ways that, you can try and bring yourself down from this elevated state of stress, elevated state of panic. Maybe there's a deadline and you haven't completed it. You haven't completed the work that's necessary. And you're starting to panic. Palms are getting sweaty. The mind is spinning. How do you bring yourself back down to focus and complete the task at hand? So that's what this next block is going to be about. So I really want to focus in on the power of breath, right? And breathing. Of course, we all breathe every day, all the time, right? To stay alive, we have to. That's a general autonomic regulation of the body, right? Just regular breathing. But I'm talking about breathing with a purpose and breathing to find calm. So that's going to be chest breathing, where you're breathing shallow and just in your rib cage and in your chest, versus deep belly breathing, activating your diaphragm. When you do that, you're going to feel a difference. And even just right now, before we get into the different types of breathing, I'd like you to take one hand, put it on your chest, one hand, put it down on your belly, and just breathe normally. And you'll probably feel, for most people anyway, your chest rising and falling. And now I want you to breathe with intention and actively try and push out your belly. And you can find you're probably going to be able to breathe a whole lot deeper. Even though we're not actively taking deep breaths, you'll feel that you're getting more air into your body, more air into your lungs. And maybe just doing this exercise here of actually belly breathing, you're starting to feel a little bit more calm already. Now we're going to get into the types of breathing exercises that you can utilize to activate the calmness within your body and within yourself. Again, just by breathing. You can do these breathing exercises sitting at your chair, at your desk. You can do these lying down if that feels good. You can really do these anywhere, park bench, outside on the grass, at your, push your laptop back, take a minute, literally 60 seconds, and do it in the library. Wherever you have the time, whenever you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, these are always going to be available for you. So you've got box breathing. You're going to imagine that there's a box as you do this, and it's a 4-second breathing, a hold, and then a 4-second exhale, and then you're completing the box. So 4 seconds in, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds out, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds in, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds out, 1, 2, 3, 4, completing that box. Let's go ahead and try that together for one round. So just do a big exhale, get all the air out. And then let's breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brief hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brief hold. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would continue to complete that cycle of 4 seconds of that box for a set period of time, whether that be 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 5 minutes. Really depends on your own body, your physiology. If you have the ability to do this longer term, if you're feeling higher stress, you maybe need to do it longer term. If you just need a quick reset, then obviously doing it for a shorter period of time, 60 seconds or so, is going to be of more benefit. That's box breathing. That's a really simple one. The visualization there also can help mentally set that calm. Closing your eyes and really visualizing that box as you're doing the breathing exercise can, again, help you with that mental reset, help you to find that calm and calamity, and help you to really push that stress out of your head and out of your body. Now, the next method is going to be that 4, 7, 8 breathing. There's a lot of numbers in these breathing exercises. The part of the reason for that, they found that by associating certain lengths of holding the breath or exhaling the breath, it forces the body into a state of calm. And also by counting, it really takes your mind off of whatever, you know, problem you were stressing over, and you have to focus now on completing the number sequence, right? Versus like thinking about the test that's coming up, or, you know, the fight you had with your spouse or partner. Now you're focusing on maintaining these 4 seconds, counting for 7 seconds on the hold, counting for 8 seconds on the exhale. So as the numbers dictate here on the 478, it is a bit longer. So if you know that you have respiratory issues already, I wouldn't recommend this one for you. If you know that you maybe have asthma, or you know you typically get shortness of breath, then this longer breathing sequence is not going to be the one for you. I would focus on that shorter 4-second breathing, the first one that we did. But for everyone else who wants to try it, I'll show you how it's done, and then we can get on into it. All right, so you're going to do that 4-second breath in. So breathe it in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you exhale for 8. So it's a long, forceful exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you start all over again. This one is quite hard to do and count at the same time. So I'm just going to count you through it, and I will attempt to breathe through it while counting. But if my breath sounds a little bit off, that's because I'm trying to maintain the count for us all. All right. So let's just do a regular exhale. Empty the lungs. And let's try it. Breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Forceful exhale for 8. Oof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you breathe it in again for 4. And you keep going like that. Now this one, when you get that exhale for 8, you're probably really ready for that next inhale of 4, right? So this one, the cycle tends to go a little bit quicker, and you tend to stay in it a little bit longer. So minimum time here, for me anyway, I tend to recommend at least 90 seconds, and then, you know, continue on to maybe a maximum of 5 minutes. But again, you can do this one sitting in your chair, lying down, wherever you feel most comfortable, and whenever you need to, even if you need to, you know, leave the conference room and go find an empty bathroom or empty, you know, just corner of the office to do some deep breathing. This is always going to be available to you. Stairwell, wherever, you know, it's one of those things where we really have to take the opportunity to take time for ourselves to do this mental reset, so that we can be the best version of ourselves and really solve any of the problems, or you know, any of these things that are weighing on us. We can get that off of us, get that weight off of us, and find our focus again. So these next 2 breathing exercises come from yoga. The one is called alternate nostril breathing. So you're breathing on one side and breathing on the other side, alternating left and right. And then the last one is lion's breath. So again, doing these for time, set a timer on your phone or your watch, and then you can go for it. So we'll do about 10 seconds of the alternate nostril breathing, and we'll do about 10 seconds of the lion's breath. So again, we're belly breathing the whole time. All of these exercises, we're activating the diaphragm. So go ahead and put your finger on one side of the nose, breathing deeply in, exhale, switch. Last time. And relax, reset. Then we have the lion's breath. So you're going to have a really deep, forceful breath in, and then a very forceful, audible breath out. We call it a lion's breath because it's like you're roaring when you breathe out. And this is a really good one if you're very stressed and sometimes you feel like you just need to yell. You know, I wouldn't recommend doing this one maybe at the office. You definitely want to try and find a place a little bit more secluded. But this is a good one where you want to get that stress out of your body and get the stress out of your mind. So deep breath in and then let it out. Breathe it in again. Let it out. It seems a bit silly, but trust me, it actually helps. Daniel, I'm looking right at you. I want you to do it, brother. Come on. Big breath in. Last time. All right. So those are a couple of breathing techniques. Personally, I like the 4-7-8 as my own personal choice for breathing exercises. I do also do the lion's breath on occasion, just because it sometimes feels good to roar, you know, and really let that power out of you and get that stress out of your head and out of your body.
Adrian, may I just say at
yeah,
this
absolutely. This is a conversation. So that's the other thing. If you guys have comments, feel free to jump in.
I'm loving this because even in preparing this and making sure the video is working and all this, there's a stress level. And as I'm enjoying your presentation, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. And as an actor too, you know, when you have an audition, Emmanuel has been in his white lab coat many times this past week and has enjoyed it, but has had stresses. The next time one of the scholars chats with me during the week about an issue, I'm just going to say to you guys, 478, and you'll know now, because that's a great one. Emmanuel's laughing. And Sammy, who's in the military and is our business major, he and I always joke one another because we're both astrologically Leo lions. So I love that lion's roar. And I'm wondering if someone might volunteer, just have a bit of fun before we go on. Might volunteer to unmute and do the lion's roar with Adrian, and we can hear some effects, and then we'll move on. Who would like to volunteer? Maybe Andy or Sammy?
Sammy is ready.
Okay. We can't see you, but we'll hear you, Sammy. And Andy, join him. Okay. Do you want to lead the lion's roar one more time,
so
Adrian? Yeah.
Let's go ahead and just exhale. Okay, deep belly breath in. Let it out.
Good, good.
It's really amazing. I think I should lead myself.
Sammy, did you do one?
Okay.
Big breath in, then roar. Yeah, there we go.
Go ahead, Savior. Go ahead, Savior. Do one. Unmute.
Okay.
That's awesome. Emmanuel, go ahead. Unmute. Belly breath in. We're making you laugh, huh? And let's just do one more. Our artist in residence, he's such a good guy, Ephraim Udoka, who just had a birthday on Friday. Come on, give us a nice lion's roar with Adrian. Go ahead, Ephraim.
All right.
Good stuff.
What was that? What was that? A silent roar?
Okay. Yeah, let's make it more classy. Okay, let me take it again. All right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty mighty. Gideon, go ahead.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Very good. We're going to have more group participation soon. Andy is still roaring, but everyone, please go back on mute and let's turn back our attention to Adrian. He has a lot more for us, so let's dig back in. Thank you, Adrian.
Yep. The other thing about the lion's roar is you all probably experienced it as you did it. It brings a smile to your face, right? Like it's really hard to stay stressed and to stay, seriously angry or whatever, may have been on your mind when you're, being a bit silly and really just breathing forcefully. It really just gets it out of your body and out of your head. So again, that's why I really love that one. But as discussed, any of these techniques can be used to help you find calm. And when you do these, it's important that you try and visualize a calm space and be in a calm space. So whatever your happy place is, if that's a forest, a beach, some spot in your home, wherever, try and visualize that as you're going through, say, the box breathing or the 4-7-8 breathing, eyes closed. Pretend you're in your happy place, your place that brings you calm, that brings you peace, and then do the breathing exercise. And then when you're finished, you should feel a lot more at peace.
I think we all feel more relaxed experiencing this wonderful sample of breathing exercises. And remember, friends, we are recording this and it's going to be put up on YouTube, so you can refer to this wonderful seminar and go back on some of these wonderful techniques that Adrian is talking about. A quick shout out to wonderful David Antia. He's our law student. We're so proud of him. And he certainly has a lot of tensions being a straight A law student and the student body president, by the way. So thank you for joining us, David. We're happy you're with us. And go ahead, Adrian. Floor is yours again.
All right. Well, right now we're going to discuss stretch breaks. Why would you want to ever take a break to stretch, right? Like you're at your job, you're at the library, you're studying, you're sitting down, typing away. Why get up? Why start stretching? Well, there are a number of reasons, right? Sitting at the computer all day can leave you feeling stiff, uncomfortable, promote poor posture, shoulders rounded, back hurting, low back pain. It can cause all kinds of joint pain in your wrists, shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, etc. So it's very important that we take an opportunity to step away from the desk, step away from the computer, step away from the book, stand up, and do some stretching. There are all kinds of stretches you can do. We're going to talk about specific ones that impact the shoulders, the back, the hips, areas that tend to get tight, that tend to get uncomfortable after long hours of sitting. As you may know, sitting is not something that we as humans were designed, to do, right? We're supposed to be walking around, being active, doing things, not bent, sit over a desk, typing all day. But unfortunately, modern life has kind of dictated that we sit all the time, right? We sit at our school, we sit on the bus, we sit when we're at work, depending on the job you have. And so when we get home, maybe we sit on the couch, watch some TV, sit when we have dinner, and then go to bed, right? And then repeat the cycle all over again. So it's important that we take the opportunity to stand, stretch, move, activate, mobilize our bodies to keep them limber, to keep ourselves flexible, and to stave off any sort of joint issues or potential musculoskeletal disorders that could arise. So how are we going to do this? Well, there are, again, lots of exercises you can do, but we're going to focus on the ones that are going to help you feel better at the desk. And stepping away from the desk also gives your mind a mental reset, right? There's been a lot of research that shows working for about 50 minutes and taking 10 minutes or so off to walk around, to stretch, to walk away from the problem or whatever work you're doing. And then when you come back to it, you come back to it with fresh eyes, new ideas, new thoughts, and you're able to get through that issue or problem a lot quicker with more clarity. So let's go ahead and stand up. This is a opportunity for group participation. Robert said there would be many of them. This is the second one in that option. I would love for you all to do it. I'm going to be demonstrating and doing it either way. I hope you can all see me. I've got my notes on the laptop as well. So the first thing we're going to do is just a stand and march, right? Nothing too crazy. Just standing, you're going to march and reach. So knee up, reach up. You're really trying to stretch that arm up and then bring that leg up. Little balance challenge as well. You don't have to get the legs super high, but it is important that I really want you to try and stretch as you bring that leg up. Let's do 2 more on each side. Now this is lengthening the spine, right? So that stretch overhead is really giving you the opportunity to get nice and long, because prior to that you were here, right? So sitting at a desk kind of rounded over, even if you have a ergonomic chair, it's not going to be the same ergonomics as you get just standing. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is a wrist roll and stretch. So you can get your arms out in front of you. You're going to roll the wrist one way, roll the wrist the other way, and then stretch. That feels pretty good to me. So you're grabbing the fingertips, pulling them back, and then other hand grabbing the fingertips, pulling them back. And then we'll do that again. Roll, 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 roll. Stretch, really get the fingertips nice and wide when you do that. Stretching the fingers and stretching those forearms. All right, we're gonna do an alternating overhead lateral reach this time. So get a wide stance with the legs. I don't want to put the camera down. You won't be able to really see me, but so you're gonna have your legs wide on this one. And then from here, you're gonna turn on the toes here and reach overhead like so. So I'll bring the camera back up and wide stance, you're rotating and reaching. So again, getting that stretch across the back. Open and through the hips. So this hip is open as I push off the toe, reaching overhead. And your body gets a little bit warm, right? If you're doing this a little faster, you might find your heart rate's getting a little elevated. That's also good. So let's do 1 more each side. Excellent. I'm going to shake that out. And then the next thing we're going to do is a standing chest and shoulder stretch. So you're going to take your hands, clasp them behind your back like so. Roll the shoulders back, pull the fingertips down, and open the shoulders, get the chest open. If it feels good, you can let the head come back. If that bothers you, then just have the head kind of neutral position. And breathe here. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Let that go. And the next thing we have is a standing cat and cow. This is something from yoga that is typically done on all fours, but you can do this standing. And one thing I forgot to mention with all these, if you don't have the balance or you need support, you can definitely like use your chair or a wall or something to help you with these. So don't feel as though, oh, my balance is off, I can't do these, hold onto the chair, raise and reach, etc. And for the standing cat-cow, ideally, your hands are going to be right above the knees. Knees are soft. And then you go into the cow by pushing your chest out and pressing into your thighs. And then you roll the spine, again, pressing into the thighs for that cat. And breathe through. So just inviting some movement into the spine, that flexion and extension of the spine. And again, you can use your chair if you want instead. Roll in the spine here in the upper back. And then coming forward like so. So 1 more round. Excellent. All right, and then our next movement is going to be a standing torso rotation. So same foot position we had earlier, wide straddle with the legs. This time, we're not going overhead or anything. We're just going side to side. So you want your core engaged when you do this. So it's an active movement. Abs are working. Again, just inviting some movement into the spine, some mobility into the spine. We've been sitting for who knows how long. Let's just move it around a little bit. Last one. Good. Let that one go. And then next, we're going to do a hip opener and closer. So again, you can use your chair for balance if you need to, but you're going to go up and out, up and in. So really, again, just working on opening those hips like so. We'll do a few on one side and then a few on the other side. All right, let's do the other leg now. Same thing. So open it up and then bring it back in. And you might find one side feels a little bit smoother or feels better. That's completely natural. You know, we're not completely asymmetrical, even or symmetrical on these sides. We're a bit asymmetrical. One leg might be slightly longer, one hip might be slightly higher or lower. Lots of different reasons why one could be more mobile than the other. All right, our next thing is going to be just a standing hip stretch. So I'll show you from the side here. I'm going to step one leg forward, other leg back, kind of drop down into this split position here. And then I'm going to shift this hip slightly forward. So you just push that forward. You should feel a stretch right here in the front of the hip. And you can kind of lean into it a little bit. We don't want to force it. It should just be a mild stretch right down the front of your hip. Okay, let's switch legs. I'll switch sides, actually, that'll be better. Yeah, that one. There we go. So right here, and it's split stance, and then shift the hips slightly forward. You're going to feel that stretch right there. Hold that. All right, slowly come out of it. And we're going to do alternating standing hamstring stretch. I'm going to need to tilt the camera down just a tiny bit more. You can hear me. You don't really need to see my face. It's all on the legs anyway. So move this chair out of the way. So you'll go one leg forward, toe up. You'll reach down for that foot, then stand up and switch. If you can't reach the toe, go ahead and touch the shin. You want to keep the legs straight, and you want to try and keep the back straight when you do this as well. So I'm not necessarily rounding here. I'm really shifting the hip back and reaching down for that foot. Good, one more. Excellent. All right, we're gonna pretend we're getting ready to go back to work. We're gonna sit back down at our desk, but the stretching is not finished. We have one more little stretch to do here. This one will be seated. It's a four-way neck stretch. So again, when we're working at our table, whether we're reading at our laptop, etc., we tend to get a lot of tightness in the neck and shoulders. Also just general daily life, you know, on our phones here, that tends to put a lot of stress in the neck and shoulders. So we're gonna do a four-way neck stretch. So watch me first, and then we'll do it together. So first, you're gonna take your right hand, gently move the head over, slight pull. Then we'll switch hands, go the other way. Don't force it, slight tug. And then we'll go head back. Rolling the shoulders down when we do that. And then head forward. Again, keeping the shoulders down and back. And we'll do that together one more time here. So to the right with a slight tug. You can also take the opposite hand and reach it away to deepen the stretch. And you can take the chin and kind of look over that way as well if you need it even deeper. Okay, and switch other side. Nice and easy. Breathing through it. Head back, roll the shoulders down, head goes up and back. And lastly, head forward and down. All right. That is the end of the stretching. I hope you're feeling a little looser than when we started. I do have a few more things to say about that, but yeah, this is a good, again, opportunity for the group participation. If you're feeling better, feeling looser, feeling a little bit more relaxed, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or something in the chat.
Yes, and kudos, wonderful participation from Ephraim, from Emmanuel, from Daniel, and from Gideon, who I think dropped out. Sometimes we have conductivity, and some of you put your names on, so you're stretching in private, I guess. But it was wonderful to see the participation. Thank you for that, Adrian. Wow, I feel great.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And yeah, it was great seeing the participation. So thank you everyone for joining in with me on those demonstrations of the stretches. Related to that, just again, I always like to do things that are evidence-based, that have reasons for it, right? Like we don't just say, oh yeah, go do this exercise because I said so. No, there's a lot of science behind it. You know, there's a review of stretching programs in workplaces, and they found that stretching not only improved range of motion, posture, it also provided a stress relief, which is crucial, especially in university. I know when I was in university, those stress levels were not something I was used to. And then when I did become used to it, it wasn't healthy, right? It's like, yeah, I'm always constantly stressed out, and that's not a good place to be, you know. And then when you're not, you're going through these like whiplash of like, I'm calm and then I'm highly stressed, and I'm calm and then I'm highly stressed. You know, there's never any real homeostasis, not really a real way for you to just feel calm and focused. You're always kind of all over the place. At least I was. So had I known I could, you know, after 6 hours of straight study and get up every hour and stretch out a little bit, and not only would I feel physically better, I know I probably would have done a little bit better on some of my exams. They also related to the studies. There was another study that they found that periodic stretching reduced pain by up to 72% in participants. So again, being at the laptops all day, in the in the workplace or in your studies, you'll start to develop wrist, shoulder, elbow injuries, upper back issues, low back issues. These stretches are ways that you can alleviate some of that.
And I
And
just want to mention, Adrian, we're just as Adrian is saying, we're under these deadlines, these pressures. We're pressured to achieve high, to score well on our tests, and it hits us. And we don't even think sometimes we're permitted for the joy that Adrian is actually presenting to us today of knowing our bodies, knowing when we can breathe, trying something different and innovative, thinking about these various stretching exercises that Adrian just presented to us. And again, we can go back to this video. That's part of the balance. And when we get to do these things, as Adrian is saying, it brings more excellence than just, for lack of a better word, panicking and focusing so heavily that you're basically injuring your body in certain ways, making yourself tenser, not breathing and oxygenating your mind. So isn't this fascinating? And I just break in with this because we're so grateful today. This is so special. Thank you, Adrian.
yeah, you made a great point there as well. Knowing your body, you know, that's key. You really have to listen to your body and know your body, and not give in to social pressures to just push on, right? Keep going, keep going, keep going. You may be able to do that for a time, but your body will eventually force you to stop, whether you want to or not. So it's imperative that you get ahead of it and know that, hey, I'm reaching my limit. I'm highly stressed, and I'm getting to the point where I'm no longer going to be able to bear this. I know that about myself physically. I need to take 60 seconds, take a breath, come back to this, and then I can continue, right? I can refocus and get through this. But just keep pushing at it, pushing at it, pushing at it. You'll eventually burn out, and we don't want that for any of you. So there are other ways to move. Obviously, I went over a few stretching exercises you can do, but for whatever reason you feel you don't have time for this, while you're studying or while you're, you know, in the middle of a task, when you take your lunch break, get some movement, right? At the beginning of your lunch break, do some stretches, loosen up, move your body around. Don't eat at your desk. I know, at least in Western culture, my former office at Google, that was something that was, you know, done a lot. You know, you'd go get your lunch, eat at your desk, and keep working. You know, and so you never really got a break, even though you were technically on a break. So take your lunch breaks. Don't just get on the phone, put the phone away, do something that's going to be good for your mental health. Get a standing desk if that's an option for you, so you're not forced to sit all the time. They make a lot of those desks that go up and down, so you can, you know, stand for a half hour, sit for a half hour. If you have to take meetings at your job, or, you know, if you're at university and you have to get from building to building, instead of taking the tram or getting on a transportation, if possible, maybe walk between the buildings, again, just to get some more exercise if you can. And then lastly, the key that I brought up earlier, every hour or so, make sure you get up, just walk away from the laptop, walk away from the desk, walk away from the book. And doesn't have to be a long time, but like 5 minutes, you know, do a lap around the building, lap around the office, then come back to it. And you'll find, again, that you're going to be more focused, more refreshed, and have new, better ideas to help you get through whatever task you're working on. Seeing just some of the comments here. Great. I'm glad everyone's feeling relieved and feeling a little bit less stressed after just doing some of these exercises. So we're really glad that everything's hitting home. And again, feel free to leave notes in the comments if as things come up, and I'll try to address them as I can.
Yes, and maybe just welcome wonderful. I keep saying wonderful, but everyone is. Janet, we want more female scholars, and we've been blessed with some, but Janet represents the female population of scholars, and her major is, I want to get this right, Janet. I want to say it exactly right, biology education. So I'm so glad, as Adrian just said, you're feeling relieved, as you wrote in the comments, and we welcome you formally, Janet.
Yeah, welcome, Janet. And biology education, like a lot of this is probably right in your wheelhouse. So again, feel free to jump in if you know, you've got some more recent studies than some of the ones that I'm quoting here. So we're going to get into some movement and exercise now. I want to start here with a walk, run, and sprint basic form of movement. Obviously, you know, as humans, walking is something that we do all the time, that we're designed to do, and we can do very well, right? It's the easiest and most accessible form of exercise, like full stop. You know, you don't need any fancy equipment. You don't need anything but yourself and area to walk in. And sometimes you don't even need an area to walk in, right? You can get on a treadmill, you can do laps around a room, you can, you know, jog in place, walk in place. So that's literally all you need, and it provides so many great health benefits, whether you have a weight loss goal, stress management, and heart health. So there are numerous studies to support that, but the one I like the best is from the American Heart Association, that found that just doing 150 minutes of low to moderate exercise per week, walking but getting your heart rate slightly elevated, has been shown to have a significant impact in lowering your cholesterol, hypertension, and blood pressure. So that equates to maybe 20 minutes of walking every day, you know, which isn't much. I know a lot of times we probably do more than that just naturally, but the key is to walk at a pace that's just going to get your heart rate slightly elevated. So you don't need to be breathing hard. Your heart doesn't need to be pounding out of your chest here. We're not like speed walking or anything, but we're also not just taking a leisurely stroll, right? I see there's a question here. Is there a stretching method for the eye? So eye strain, yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real problem, and it definitely happens from looking at the computer for too long. What I would suggest is to look away from the computer, from the screen, every 15 or so minutes. You can also get glasses that will reduce the glare coming off of the screen. You can also have covers that come over your laptop screen as well to reduce that glare and the eye fatigue and eye strain. But that is something that will definitely happen from being at your computer all day. It's also good when you take that hour or take that break every hour to maybe close the eyes for a bit, get out of the artificial lights if you can, get more natural light. That definitely helps also. But it's a real problem, especially again with modern technology. If we're not on our computer, we're on our phone, and all of these things tend to add eye fatigue and eye strain. And that's something that, you know, you'll find like, oh, I'm having to increase the font size, I'm having to increase the brightness, or you didn't have to do it before. I recommend the glasses just because I personally use those, but I know they can sometimes be hard to get. So the screen covers are great as well. The glasses just work if you're using more than one monitor, right? And then if you have a external monitor or something, then it's something that's going to be a little bit better. But they're the ones I use are not only blue light blocking, they also have a like 0.1 magnification on them as well, and they have an anti glare coating. They're made for esports gamers. It's by this company called Gunner. No affiliation with them. Don't get any sort of, you know, kickbacks or anything. If you find a generic version of those, go ahead and buy those. But the Gunner ones are the ones I have, and I think they work great. So Ephraim says, as an artist that tilts his head downwards with the back curved outwards while drawing, so important for me. Yeah, it's great that, you know, when you're drawing, right, you're always in a certain position. So it's really important that you take the opportunity to break out of that, let your body move around, stretch it, roll it out, and get yourself loose, because you get, you know, kind of locked into this one position when you're drawing, writing, you know, even though you're doing something great that you love to do, that's, you know, mentally good for you, and drawing and being an artist, it's can be physically taxing on the body to always be in that same position. So yeah, great comments coming in on the chat. If there's anything else, feel free to drop them in there. So as I was saying, with walking, it's going to be shown to lower your blood pressure, cholesterol, and hypertension. And so that's the first phase, right? Walking. Definitely do it. If you don't, get out there and start. And it's something that is going to improve your overall fitness as well. I know we don't necessarily think of walking as athletic or as something that is going to be very helpful for our overall fitness, but it actually is. So go ahead and do that. Once you've mastered walking, or maybe you want to, you know, move things up a little bit, increase the intensity, obviously you start going a little bit faster. There's running and jogging, right? And so sometimes people differentiate running and jogging. I tend to just lump them together. The pace is what dictates the difference, right? And it's all personal to you. So one person's jog, maybe one person's run, right? The real difference is it's faster than walking, right? So if you're not at a walk and you're not at a full-on all-out sprint, then whatever pace you're at that's in between there, you're running. That you're officially a runner. People are like, oh, I'm not a runner, I just run 3 days a week. Well, then you're a runner, right? If you run, you're a runner. So I like running personally. I find that it's very helpful for stress management. And, you know, I get out, go for a long run, and I just come back feeling a lot more calm. You may have heard of the phrase, the runner's high, you know, or you run long enough, your body releases endorphins and you start to feel really good mentally and physically. And for me, whatever issues or problems or, you know, sort of challenges I may have been working on or thinking through, I've been able to come back with a little bit more clarity, or maybe discover that the problem actually wasn't so big in the first place, right? And so that's why I enjoy running. Yes, we are going to get into calisthenics. Good question. They are good for your health. Can be. We'll get into that as well. So yeah, keep the questions coming in. I'll try to address them as they come in, and I'll also try to keep us moving forward on the outline as well. Some of the benefits of running that have been talked about in various studies: it can increase your overall lifespan. reduced all-cause mortality by 27%. They found that runners tend to live roughly about 12 years longer than non-runners. It improves your mood and brain function. So there was another study where they took high school students, they split the class. They had some of them participate in a zero period where they came into school before and they did aerobic exercise. It wasn't all running, it was running and cycling. Then they had another group that just did showed up at the normal time. And then at the end of the year, when they gave them their tests, the group that did the aerobic exercise in the mornings before the exams scored 30% higher than the group that didn't. It was a significant change. So more, evidence that running is important. It increases your energy levels. I know a lot of times people may say, oh, I don't have the energy to go running. Well, once you start, you get into it, then you'll have more energy to actually go running and to do other things. So the exercise gives you energy. Initially, you may feel that you're a little bit more tired, but once you get into the habit and the routine, your body adapts and then it'll become more energetic for you. And lastly, really important, obviously, reduces stress and anxiety. So getting that exercise, getting the anxiety and stress out of your brain, out of your body, by running and getting a good sweat, breathing, getting that oxygen to the brain, getting your blood moving is going to be great for you and provide so much benefit for you over the long term. And it doesn't have to be long, right? You don't need to go out and run for 3 hours. We're not trying to run marathons every day. You can just go out, 20 minutes, do a short little run, run a mile. Like, you really don't have to do a lot. If you have the opportunity and you enjoy running longer, sure, go ahead and do that, but you're not really forced to do that. You really just need to do a little bit every day, and it adds up. Not necessarily running every day, but a little bit of something every day, and it adds up to better health. So maybe run on Mondays, walk on Tuesdays, run on Wednesdays, etc. Now, if you want to take this up even further, we have sprint training or sprinting, right? That's going to be an intense form of running where you're running at your maximal speed. You're running to try and recruit muscle fibers that you wouldn't get in your normal, jogging style of running. Your heart rate is going to be at or near your maximum, so 95% or higher. And you're only doing this for short periods of time, and maybe you're doing intervals. So you'll sprint for, 10 to 20 seconds, rest, and then sprint again for 10 to 20 seconds and do that, 5-10 times, right? Sprinting is great for a lot of the same reasons that running is great, but what it does that running doesn't do is it will improve and increase your overall athletic performance since it recruits more muscles, right? You have to recruit the type 2 muscle fibers when you're sprinting that you don't necessarily, the fast twitch muscles that you don't necessarily get when you do the long, slow, lower intensity jogging or running. You can kind of see this if you look, if you're watching the Olympics or any of the track and field events, if you look at the distance guys versus the sprint guys, they're both obviously like really fast in their events, but they physically look different, right? You need a lot more muscle to sprint and run fast. So that's why sprinters tend to look a certain way and distance runners tend to look a certain way. Sprinting can also lead to more muscle growth, just hormonally and muscle fiber growth. So you can, by practicing sprint training, it's been shown that you can release more growth hormone, and that your body the muscle fibers can sometimes convert from slow twitch muscles to fast twitch muscle fibers, depending upon your own physiology. It's also been shown to improve your metabolic risk factors, such as high blood sugar levels, as well as improve your cholesterol levels, reduce blood pressure, and can cut your abdominal fat while improving your sugar metabolism. So those are the benefits of sprinting. But with sprinting, there is, something you need to obviously be aware of. You can't just jump into sprinting if you haven't done that before, if you haven't warmed up, if you haven't trained for it. You don't want to just go out, put on some track spikes and try to run as hard as you can. That's a recipe for disaster, and you can definitely get injured. So with sprinting, even with running, but definitely with sprinting, make sure you're properly warmed up. make sure you have a plan, make sure you know, kind of ease into it, and don't try and go and run a fast 400 meters if you've never run 100 meters ever, right? So take your time with it, understand the benefits of it, but also understand that you have to work yourself up to sprinting, which is why we started with walking, running, and end with sprinting here. Just gonna take a look at the chat here for just a second. Yeah, we can, well, there is a section about sleep, so we'll jump into sleep as well at that section. I also have a shoulder issue, my right shoulder, and so I've yeah, I'm aware of side sleeping and how that can make this a little bit worse if I'm not careful. All right, so let's talk about training here outside of running and walking, sprinting, and whatnot. Resistance training and functional weightlifting, right? So, not talking about bodybuilding. That is completely different. So, bodybuilding, you're lifting weights with the idea of building certain body parts for aesthetic reasons, right? You want your chest to look a certain way because you're competing in a event where you're judged by how big of a chest you have, whether you have a big pec major, a pec minor, etc. You need your triceps to look a certain way, all that. That's bodybuilding, and you're really just doing workouts based on that, right? So you have an arm day, and you're focused just on getting your arms to be big and to have certain definition. What I like to focus on is training that's going to have more longevity, that's going to improve your overall quality of life, and you'll get those aesthetics because of that, right? But that's not the goal. The goal isn't to have a you know, big shoulders and big arms. The goal is to be functionally strong, to be able to lift a certain amount of weight, to be able to get the groceries and walk them to the house, to be able to carry my son up and down the stairs, right? Those are my goals, and the stuff I do in the gym just helps me with that, right? And then my arms look, you know, they look decent, but I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, you know. If you are, no shade or anything, that's just not how I personally like to train, and I don't feel that there's a lot of runway with that type of training. If you look at older bodybuilders, they tend to be pretty broken down in their later years. Whereas if you look at people who do calisthenics or functional weightlifting, they tend to still be going, you know, 70s and 80s. I actually watched a video earlier today of a 75-year-old man doing muscle ups, which was phenomenal, you know. And just goes to show that if you approach it with a longevity mindset, you can have that health and that quality of life in your later years that we all want. So recommend to strength train at least twice a week. You know, if you're only doing twice a week, you can do different kind of splits if you're in the gym, you know, whether it be a push pull, upper body, lower body, front of the body, back of the body kind of split. You can also do that same sort of split if you're just doing body weight exercises as well. So, you know, really kind of thinking about push versus pull, right? And upper and lower. So if you're doing calisthenics, you know, maybe you're doing push-ups and pull-ups, right? As an example, working different muscles, but also still functionally working your strength. You know, you don't necessarily need a gym to build strength. You know, when I was in the military, we didn't always have access to a gym. We would do a lot of body weight, a lot of calisthenics, a lot of partner exercises and partner drills, using things that are around us and available to us. You know, water cans. We'd use our rifles even and do rifle drills. You literally use anything. During the pandemic, you know, we'd fill a backpack with books and use that as weights and do curls with that, you know. So you just get creative. Don't let, you know, the access to the fancy equipment or you know, a barbell or regular things stop you. Again, during the pandemic, it was hard to get weights. People were making weights, you know, with out of concrete, you know, just doing whatever they could to to achieve that goal, you know. And it's important that you have a goal in mind with fitness, So you're not just approaching it with the idea that, oh, I need to do something. Of course, something is better than nothing, but if you actually have a goal in mind of what you want to achieve, then your body and your mind will get you there, right? It's not just you doing something just to be doing it and then not seeing the progress. You know, it's like, oh, well, I run 3 days a week, but I still feel the same. It's like, well, okay, well, how are you running? Well, I just go from here to there, sometimes there to there. Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, that's the problem right there. It's not that the running isn't working, it's you don't have a plan around it. And similarly with resistance training, if you don't have a plan in place, you're never going to see any of the physical adaptations that you want, right? You may even injure yourself, you know, and so that's something you need to be aware of. Is naturally it's beneficial to a point, but if you don't have a plan, then you could go beyond that and, you know, injure yourself by doing too much, trying to lift too much too soon, doing too many reps, etc. So benefits of resistance training are going to be increased strength of bones, muscles, and connective tissues, your tendons and ligaments. You will lower your risk of injury long term, so you become more durable because your body is stronger, your muscles are stronger, joints are stronger. Likelihood of you, you know, getting injured from a fall, say you slip and fall, is going to be a lot lower if your body's used to resistance training. If you're stronger in general, you're obviously going to increase your muscle mass as well, right? That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get big. That is something that with some of my female clients, I had to break the news to them that lifting weights will not make you a man, will not make you bulk up. You know, there's yeah, it's something you hear a lot. It's like, oh, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get big. It's like, okay, well, that's like saying I don't want to ever drive because I might become a F1 racer. Like it's not going to happen. You can't just jump into that, you know. So don't be afraid, the women on the call, to lift weights, and men as well. Just because you lift weights doesn't mean you're going to get huge as well. You might get a little bit bigger, but a lot of it depends again on your own physiology, the type of body you have, and how your body produces muscle, muscle mass, right? And the type of weightlifting you're doing as well. So if you're lifting for strength or if you're lifting for hypertrophy or size, those are different methods of training. And so you really, again, need to have a plan in place when you start. Another benefit, lastly here, is just overall better quality of life. I think I touched on that before, but the stronger you are in general, you know, that's what resistance training effectively is getting stronger through resistance, whether that be calisthenics or weights. The overall better quality of life you're going to have. There's a really interesting study. Again, I talked about the 75-year-old doing muscle ups, but the correlation between grip strength and longevity. So they found that seniors that were able to hold themselves up on a bar for 60 seconds or longer tend to longer than those who couldn't. And that kind of makes sense if you think about slip and fall injuries, right? If you slip, you tend to try and grab something to stop yourself from falling. But if you don't have the grip strength to actually hold on to that thing, you're just going to let go and you're going to fall. And obviously not an issue right now because we're all young, but health and fitness is something that becomes who you are, right? The longer you do it, the more likely that you're going to continue to do it. You know, they have studies that show that kids who played sports and did organized sports when they were a youth continue to exercise through college and then in post-college into adulthood. And that's because it's just a habit. It's who they are. It's ingrained in them. It's not something that, you know, they're like, oh, I do this today and then I'm not doing it tomorrow, right? And so that's really what we want to do here. We want to make this part of that lifestyle, part of that healthy lifestyle is exercising a few days a week. And again, doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing, but it is something that you want to make sure you make time for, because if you don't, you'll have to make time for the injury and the sickness when you're older, and we don't want that. So if you don't have a gym, again, not a problem. This is where calisthenics come into play. This was brought up earlier. Is calisthenics an effective way to exercise and stay fit? It absolutely is. And for those who don't know, calisthenics is just another way of saying body weight exercises, right? So we can get up and try a few. I know we're kind of moving on the time here, so I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I will have some links and things that I can share with you when we send this out, when we send the recording out. I have a PDF and a couple of video links for you for some other exercises and things. But general calisthenics, so think, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, lunges, burpees, you name it, anything that you can do with your body, right? And just on the topic of push-ups, I know if people aren't necessarily strong enough to do the full push-up, it's popular to do it from the knees. I actually recommend that you don't do that, that you use an elevated surface. So you're not from your knees, but you have your hands on an elevated surface, whether that be a table, a wall, or a chair. Reason for that is because over time, you just bring that surface lower and lower, and then before you know it, you're on the ground doing a regular push-up. But if you're doing push-ups from your knees, there's really not a way to transition from the knees to the legs straight, right? It's like you're on your knees the whole time, and then one day you're being asked to like straighten your legs, and it's like, well, I still don't have the power to do multiple reps with the legs straight. So try that elevated surface and let me know how you get on. But yeah, just think calisthenics, bodyweight exercises, they're great. Another thing, you can use resistance bands. They're fantastic. They travel everywhere. They're very, very easy, portable, and they come in different densities, right? So some that are like going to be super thick and very hard to pull, some that are going to be very lightweight and easier to pull, and you can put them on different areas of the body to do a ton of great movements. And Robert can tell you all about resistance bands. I have a really good workout with the resistance bands that he is a big fan of. I'll put the link to that in the video and in the PDF for the video when we send it out. So I know we touched on, there was a question I think about nutrition earlier. We'll just keep it rolling and jump right into that topic now. So let's talk about health, right? What is healthy? Think about that for a minute. Well, when you think healthy, what do you think? Maybe you think fruits, maybe you think vegetables, maybe you think chicken, rice. I like to just keep it simple. There's a famous nutritionist, Michael Pollan. He kind of came up with this saying here: eat real food, mostly plants, and not too much, right? So people say, should I eat red meat? Should I eat chicken? What about, should I be vegetarian? Should I do this? Should I do that? Is it processed food or is it real food? It's real. Check. Do you have some plants with it? You got some greens, some kale, something, spinach? Yeah, I got some spinach and some mushrooms. All right, check. And how much are you gonna eat? I don't know, just enough to feel good. Like, well, there you go. Yeah, don't stuff yourself. Don't eat a lot of things that come in bags and packages and fancy colors and weird dyes and all that. And make sure you're getting your plants and fruits and vegetables. Like that's really at the essence. Keeping it simple, that's really all you got to do. You can obviously get a little bit more detail oriented. We can talk about macros and make sure you're getting good ratios of proteins, carbs, and healthy fats. Healthy fats are going to be your avocados, flax seeds, nuts, seed butters, olive oils, etc. You may have also heard that seed oils are bad for you. I will go on the record as saying that's false. There's a lot of things online, people online saying that omega-6s are going to be bad because it stops your body from converting omega-3s to DHA, and et cetera, et cetera. There are tons of studies that disprove that. And yeah, so you can use seed oils. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna do anything crazy. Go ahead and do that. What is bad, again, my opinion here, sugar. There's a lot of sugar in everything. Look out for the added sugar. Things that even say sugar-free will have sugar in there under a different name, right? So they won't call it sugar. They'll call it brown rice syrup, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute. Brown rice syrup, that's sugar. Yeah, it absolutely is. So they call it different things a lot of times. They'll then throw in artificial sweeteners, some of those which can be cancerous, like saccharin, for example, just terrible for you, but they still put it in some things, which is crazy. And then it really just perverts your taste buds, right? When you only eating all these sweet things, that's all you want to eat. You know, it's sugar reacts in the brain on those dopamine signals, and you just want it. The more you have, the more you want, and before you know it, you've got diabetic issues. You're getting fatter. You're feeling sluggish because you're going through the peaks and valleys of those sugar highs and crashes. It's terrible, you know, and they've fooled us for years, you know, with this low fat, focusing on the fat, like fat's bad, low fat this, no fat that. We're like, really, fat is all right. It's the sugar that's the problem, you know. And so if you're having good healthy fats, you know, as I talked about, and then full fat things, that's actually going to be okay for you, you know, in moderation, obviously, but it's not something that you want to focus solely on the fat and not focus on the sugar. And then lastly here, you know, you've seen me grabbing my bottle, taking sips here and there. We'll talk about hydration here really quick. The common knowledge is, you know, 8 cups a day, 8 cups of water a day. In America, in the West is what we say. I don't know the the conversion for the cup, but you should have, you know, roughly 8 glasses of water is what they say, right? Is that true or false? What do you think? Give a second. Or put a thumbs up if you think 8 glasses a day is true.
Well, I think 8 glasses is fair enough. I get here a liter of water because the environment here is hotter.
Great point. So that's what I was going to get at. Yes, they say 8 a day. However, it depends on your body weight, activity level, and your environment, right? If you're in a hotter environment, you're likely going to need more than that. If you're a larger person, you'll probably need more than that. If you're very active, you'll need more than that, right? So it really just depends. 8 is a good baseline. I wouldn't recommend going below that, but you definitely don't always need more than that. But there are going to be a lot of instances where you definitely do need more than that, for sure. A good rule of thumb is at least half your body weight in ounces of water a day. So again, I'm using the American scale. Sorry, I need to do the conversion, but you know, weighing 190 pounds, I tend to try and get, you know, half of that in ounces every single day using my 24-ounce bottle. So I know for me that I can measure it and ensure if I'm getting, you know, 6 of these a day at a minimum, and I'm usually like highly active as well. So I tend to have about somewhere between 7 and 8 of these a day. I'm going to be good. On days where I don't have time or for whatever reason I didn't hit my number, then I know that, you know, oh, I feel really thirsty. What's going on? It's like, oh, I only had 3 bottles a day today. You know, that's why I'm feeling sluggish. So just general rule of thumb, half your body weight in ounces. That's a good measure, a good starting point, and you can kind of move on from there and fine tune it as needed. Okay, getting into sleep. I know there was a question about side sleeping earlier, and was it shoulder pain by sleeping on your side? So we'll talk about that specifically down here at the bottom. But first, how much sleep do you currently get each night? Go ahead and think about that. Maybe write that down. If you don't know, give your best estimate, guesstimate of what that is. I'll wait a moment here. All right, and how much sleep do you think you need each night? If you had to guess, how much sleep would you say you actually needed?
Well, I guess 8 hours for me. I don't know. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, the conventional wisdom is you know, 8 hours of sleep. That's what everyone says. But just like water, the answer is it depends. So you know, 8 is what they say, right? But if you look at the studies that have been done, they find that 6.5 hours is about average for most people. And that tends to be, there's a sweet spot between 6.5 and 8 hours that most people feel pretty good on. You know, and this is coming from Fitbit, where we had a huge sleep study done, like hundreds of thousands of people's sleep data analyzed. And we found that, you don't want to go below 6.5, but you may find that you need 8. I know my wife, she prefers to have somewhere around 9.5, but since our son, that's definitely not happening. And so, for me, I'm really good at about 7 hours. That's kind of my best, my sweet spot, 7 to 7.5. If I go below that, I can function, but I just don't prefer it. So the things that are going to affect your sleep, or to determine how much you actually need, are going to be your age, activity level, and your own body clock or circadian rhythm, right? We each have our own rhythm, our own body clock, our own internal clock that tells us, when we need to sleep and when we need to be alert and awake. And we have to listen to that. There are things that can affect that, of course, but we'll kind of touch on those here and there. And I'll put a link to, I give a TED talk on sleep. I'll put a link to that in the PDF when I share it out. The things that negatively affect our sleep, again, are going to be stress, of course. Number one, having coffee and things too late in the day that keep us alert. Not having the right environment to sleep in, right? Maybe it's noisy, maybe it's very bright. Maybe you got an animal or something, a pet who's coming in the room, or a spouse or a kid who's in the room with you. There are all these different things that can negatively affect your sleep, that if you can control for it, you definitely should. So with that sleep of 6.5 hours being the minimum, we want to be aware of a thing called sleep debt, right? Sleep debt is when you're consistently getting less sleep than you need. So Mr. Nesfield said he needs 8 hours, right? Well, if he's constantly only getting 5 hours and he does that all week, well, he's now in debt for 21 hours of sleep that he didn't get, right? And so how do you make that up? How do you get it back? Well, you can't just, not like a credit card payment, right? You can't just go and pay it all. I can't just sleep for 20 hours and be fine again, right? It has to come back little by little. So the next week, instead of getting 5 hours, maybe you try and get back to your baseline of 8, and then build that up so that debt gets paid off. And it happens over time. You can also do it if you find Monday through Friday, because of school and work, you tend to get less sleep, but you can sleep in on the weekends. Then you can slowly start to pay that back by sleeping in on the weekends as well. But it's better to be consistent. The body loves consistency. So if you can find that consistent, going to bed at 10, waking up at 6, and doing that every day, then you're going to feel a lot better physically and mentally. So again, how can you improve your sleep? Get a routine. In bed at a certain time, awake at a certain time. Part of that routine is going to be, turning, some music on at 9 o'clock. That's going to help you relax. Having a cup of tea, reading a book, journaling, getting all those thoughts and stressors out of your head, writing them down. Kind of call that a worry list. Getting those worries out. Recalling what happened during the day, what went well, what you can work on, and then putting that away. Ensure that the room is dark, so you don't want all this light in there. If you can't control the light, put on a sleep mask. Ensure that it's quiet. If you can't control the noise, maybe you use earplugs or put on a sound machine. And then hopefully that is slightly cool and not hot. If, you may know, in a hot environment, I also used to live in a very hot environment. When the room is hot, it's really hard to be comfortable and sleep comfortably, just because it's just too hot. So if you can get a fan or something to just keep the air circulating and to cool things off a bit, sleep in light clothing as well, something that's not going to stick to you, that'll help you to sleep a whole lot better as well. And sleep, we're talking about it because it's important. It literally affects everything in our life. It all starts with sleep, and you'll find that if you're moody, probably didn't sleep well. If you're hungry and you're going for foods that you wouldn't normally eat, you have these weird cravings, probably didn't sleep well, right? If you find you have brain fog, can't think clearly, probably didn't sleep well, right? If you find you don't have the strength that you had before when you did the other exercise the last time, probably didn't sleep well. Can't run as fast, probably didn't sleep well, right? Like it all ties back to sleep, and over time, being chronically underslept, chronically fatigued can lead to shorter lifespans, can lead to more disease. So we don't want that. Definitely try and get sleep, give sleep the attention it needs, and make sure that you're giving yourself the opportunity to get 8 hours of sleep, right? Just because you're in the bed for 8 hours, again, I'm using this 8 as the example because that's what they, what everyone thinks is 8 hours of sleep, and that's a general, good high bar. Just because you're in bed for 8 hours doesn't mean that you slept 8 hours, right? If you are in the bed for 8 hours, you probably slept 7, maybe 6.5 hours, right? Because you're takes time to fall asleep. You toss and turn a little bit. You have these micro awakes during the middle of the night. So over time, that's going to take away from the actual total amount of sleep. So if you want to sleep 8 hours, you probably need to be in bed for 8.5, 9 hours, right? So really think about that when you think about the total amount of time that you would like to sleep. So for me, wanting to sleep about 7 hours, I need to make sure that I'm in bed for at least 8 hours to give my body the opportunity to get that full 7 hours of good high quality sleep. And talking about high quality sleep, shorter high quality sleep is going to be better than longer low quality sleep. I'll say that again, shorter amount of high quality sleep. So 6.5 hours of really good deep sleep is going to be better than 8 hours of tossing and turning, awake for a little bit, asleep for a little bit. You're going to wake up feeling fatigued over that 8 hours, much more so than you would over that shorter period of time. And to answer the question about sleeping on the side, if your shoulder is sore when you sleep on your side, don't sleep on your side. Easier said than done, right? Well, get a pillow that's going to support your neck and keep your head above the shoulder so the shoulder doesn't roll in and collapse when you sleep. You could also sleep on your side with your arm extended. That'll provide a little bit of relief as well. So arm extended, pillow here, like so, should help with that shoulder pain when side sleeping. But if you can avoid side sleeping, that'd be the best bet. Or a thicker pillow. There's a pillow called the block pillow. It's like, this looks like a big square block that is tall enough, and it's specifically for side sleepers. All right, we're in the home stretch, team. I know we've gone a little long here. We'll try and wrap this up pretty quickly. So positive attitude and starting a fitness journal. So why does mindset matter, right? A winning mindset is a state of mental fluency that can help you to achieve your full potential and achieve long-term success. But it all starts here, right? You have to be able to see it and believe it before you can actually do it. So you can apply this to many areas of your life, obviously personal happiness, professional success, sports, university, everywhere, really. If you can take that winning attitude, that mindset that you can achieve these things, then you can get there. We see it all the time, in these news stories, and with the Olympics just having wrapped up this summer, there were so many great stories coming out of the Olympics of people who, literally came from nowhere, came from nothing, and are getting gold medals, and achieving greatness on the world stage, right? And if they can do it, you can absolutely do it. I can absolutely do it. We can all achieve the things that we set our mind to, but you got to do that first. Set your mind to it. So there's a famous saying. It's whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Either way, that's you saying you can't do. I can't do it. Well, you're right. You can't do it. You just said you can't. And you say, hey, I can do it. I'm gonna do it. I can. That's right. Let's go. Let's get it done. And so you got to start with that belief and set a goal. There's a goal setting practice called SMART, setting SMART goals. That means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So the goal needs to be specific, not just, I want to get in shape. That's not specific. What exactly do you want to do, right? I want to be able to run a 5K in January. I want to run a 5K race in January with my friends. Okay, great. That's a very specific goal with a time. It's in January. We can measure it. It's 5 kilometers. That's the distance. It's achievable, right? You're not saying I want to go run an Olympic marathon, right? Okay, that would be unachievable considering you never ran. And it's relevant to you, being that you want to do it yourself, and you're not saying I want to make Robert go run a 5K in January. Well, I can't make him do anything. He's got to decide that for himself. So that's an example of a SMART goal. It has to be really specific, and if you have that as your starting point, that's a great way for you to achieve success. So obviously there are going to be challenges along the road of any path we're taking to try and be successful, right? And so what do we do when we're challenged? Well, we take these challenges as opportunities to learn and to grow. If a challenge comes, an obstacle comes, it's quite easy to say, oh, well, I guess it wasn't for me. Like this thing just isn't going to work out. But I personally feel that's a bad attitude, and that's not going to help anyone get any further in life, right? If they just give up when the first no or the first obstacle, I took this exam. I really want to be a computer programmer, but I got a D on this first exam. I guess I'm gonna just quit university and I'm gonna go work at the tire shop, right? Like, no. Okay, well, maybe that just means I need to study harder, right? I need to change my methods. Like, look at it. Why did this happen, right? Really break it down and examine what went wrong here, right? You hopefully studied and you thought you were studying the right things. Maybe you weren't. Maybe the way the information was taught to you was not in a way that you fully understood it. Maybe you need a tutor, right, to just get you over that hump. Maybe the programming language isn't one that you actually know as well as you thought you did, obviously, right? Because you got a bad mark. But that doesn't mean you walk away from the entire thing and just give up. Really use that as an opportunity to learn and grow. So what matters gets measured, right? Gets tracked and recorded. So you have to be able to really track these things, whether it be in a journal, spreadsheet, wherever. Even your activity, you can wear an activity tracker for the physical stuff, but you need some other way to track the non-physical things in your life to make sure that you're making good progress towards your goals. So I really encourage you all to find a way that works for you. There's apps you can use, so many ways to track different things, but just find a way to track those things, because if you're not tracking, you have no way to really measure your success. You can't back test it and say, well, I came from here, so I know I'm making progress, right? You can think you are, but then if you're not able to really look at it and say, okay, yeah, I started here, now I'm here, and my goal is here. Okay, we're on the right path. We're moving in the right direction. So get a journal, record your progress, record your setbacks as well, right? Again, using that test as an example, you got a D on that programming test, but you got an A on the other one, right? So okay, well, I'm really good at databases, right? I got SQL, I did really good on that, and I didn't do so hot on my C++ test, right? Like, okay, well, maybe I need to go back and obviously really focus on Object-C and figure some things out, right? Whatever it is, right? But you'd really need to write all that down and put it somewhere that is going to help you to stay on task. Where are we at? Okay, last couple of things here. Focus on those small wins along that path, along that goal setting path, right? You're not going to get from A to Z in one shot, right? You got to go through all the letters, right? If you're the famous saying, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. It's very true, right? You have to really take that step-by-step approach, but celebrate yourself when you make those wins along that 1,000-mile journey, right? You got 100 miles away from your doorstep. That's amazing. You still got a long way to go, but that's 100 miles further than you were, right? I like to tell my training clients, we don't need to get 100% better every single day. We just need to get 1% better every day, right? If we can get just a tiny bit better today than we were yesterday, than we were when we started this workout, right? If we can end the workout just a little bit stronger, a little bit more resilient, a little bit more focused than we were when we started, then we're winning already. We're already achieving what we set out to do. And those 1% add up, and before you know it, you're at 100%. So really focus on those small wins, celebrate those small wins, but don't lose sight of your overall goal. You're going to find strength through adversity. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be setbacks. But again, don't let those stop you. The obstacle is the way, right? You're trying to get somewhere and there's a mountain in the way. You can't go through the mountain. You gotta either go around it or go over it, but you gotta address it regardless, right? And so those obstacles make you stronger, they make you more resilient, and they make you mentally sharper and able to deal with more adversity. There's always going to be adversities in life. There's always going to be setbacks and things stopping your progress, trying to derail your progress. What do you do when those things happen, right? Do you just give up? Do you say, oh, well, throw your hands up and say, oh, this isn't it. This isn't for me. The haters were right. The people that said I couldn't do it, they were right. I should have listened to them a long time ago instead of wasting my time here. Like, no, you say, hey, this happens. Setbacks happen. Dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep going. Go again. Remind yourself of how far you've come, right? Even if you have far to go. And don't fall into the comparison trap. It's like, oh, well, you know, Joe over there, he got an A on the test. And Susie, she got a A, I got a D. Oh man, like that. Well, what, maybe they didn't do so hot in the other subjects, right? Maybe they don't have all the other things going on that you have going on, right? There's so many things that can affect that. Don't compare yourself to others. Focus on you. You can control you. You can't control anyone else. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? You have the opportunity to really shape your future, to shape and control what you can be and what you can do in this life. But if you're constantly looking over here and focusing on the other man, focusing on the other person, you lose sight of your own potential and you lose sight of your own goals. So don't do that. Don't let that comparison derail you. Don't let that comparison steal your focus. All right. And then lastly here, lean into your strengths, right? We all have things that we're better at than others. You know, you have, you know, the opportunity to be and do so much. Focus on the things that you're really good at and keep drilling deep on those, right? And get really, really, really great at that thing that you're really good at. You can obviously make your weaknesses stronger and bring those up as well. But if you try to like spread yourself too thin and do, you know, be an expert at all things, you'll be expert at nothing, right? So really focus on that thing that you know really well, that you can do really well, and become an expert at that. And then the things that need to be improved, yeah, bring those up along as well. But you really want to focus on being great at those things that you're naturally good at, or that you have that inclination and focus and drive to do, because that's what's going to keep you going, right? There's the old saying, like, oh, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's obviously a lie. You're still going to work, but you'll enjoy the work more because you're working in a field that you like and that you love, or a hobby that you love, or whatever it is, right? You like running, go run. You like physics because it, you know, you like the idea of the universe, everything, how things work. You love physics. So yeah, cool. Be a physicist and work in that field. It's still going to be work, but you're going to enjoy it, you know? So spend those energies cultivating your strengths and not worrying or focusing on your weaknesses. And then lastly, this is more environmental, but keep your environment clean. Like a tidy workspace, a tidy room is going to help to relieve external stress on the mind. So cluttered room, cluttered mind, you know, it's really hard to think and focus if there's just debris all around you. And so if you can't do that with your own personal environment, make sure the area that you study in, whether it be the library or wherever, is someplace that you can actually focus and you're not being distracted by all kinds of other external things, you know. And that's kind of that. Yeah, that is the last thing on my spreadsheet here. So in closing, right, this is the opportunity for you to take your physical space, your physical actions and activities to find mental clarity, to find focus, to find calm, and then be able to drive forward more aligned and more laser focused in what you actually want to achieve, you know, and not getting distracted, not allowing yourself to become derailed, not allowing the external noise that's always there to take your focus away, and then dealing with that stress when it happens, when it comes up, when those things inevitably do pull you away from, you know, what you want to do or what you should be doing. Being able to breathe it out, reset the mind, reset the focus, and get back to work. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining. We'll open it up for some Q&A. And yeah, we'll obviously share this recording, and I'll share a PDF with some links and everything for you all also.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to thank Adrian in a few moments as we're saying we're going to do some Q&A. And I'm going to do a little editing to the video. And as Adrian again is saying, we have various links. There's a brilliant one to Adrian doing what's known as a TED Talk on sleep, which I enjoyed watching actually in preparing for today's video, and I've seen it before. I will say this before we do some quick question and answer. I cannot thank you enough. I think this entire presentation is a major reset for all of us because each of us has a different shingle, a different uniqueness. It's just as what I'm thanking Adrian, but I'm talking about what he's talked to our scholars about. We each have different strengths. We have different majors. We have different jobs. And we can get so focused on those deadlines and those pressures that sometimes we do collapse. Sometimes we do give up. Sometimes we don't get enough sleep. Sometimes we think we could cheat on the exercise. And every element that Adrian has brought to us, I know for me personally, and I'm not a scholar, I'm the executive director and probably older than anyone here. You've made me rethink, Adrian, because you've given statistical information that I didn't even expect. And it makes it exciting to want to restructure, repurpose, rethink, reset, and come at things in a refreshed manner. So it's not the new year yet. It's the fall season where so many of the scholars are digging in, and we're starting our third year at AAHEF. So this was such a beautiful experience because you made us all rethink. You made me rethink. And I'm going to make it very personal. I know if I feel this way, I know our scholars do too. You've added such new flowing waters to what we do at AAHEF, and just thank you. I think I have a neighbor that is moving in above me, so they just drop furniture as I'm talking, or that's a sign from God saying thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. I myself want to re-look at the video because you've brought up so many ideas. Last thing I want to say is I know my scholars so well, and we network, and I talk to them individually, and I know Mr. Nesfield, who's talks to the scholars individually. You've brought up so many points. I could think of each of the scholars who is jogging, who is meditating, who is having trouble sleeping. So I know how resonant this is. And I probably should have done this thank you after the Q&A, but I'm excited and I wanted to jump in if you don't mind.
No problem at all. Yeah, you're very welcome, and I'm glad to hear that it was so resonant with you, and I'm sure, as you were saying, it touched the scholars as well. You know, I'm seeing that just in some of the questions and comments here in the chat. So I'll just get to some of the questions here quickly that I didn't address. Going down, here we are. Okay, yeah, Mr. Nesfield here. So you said you notice when you sleep on your stomach or chest, you wake up with waist pain. However, you don't experience discomfort when you sleep on your back. Yeah, so if the way to fix that, you're gonna wanna place a pillow underneath your hips when sleeping on your stomach, or obviously just sleeping on your back if you can. But if you find that you tend to roll and sleep on your stomach, you should have a pillow under the hips. In general, we should all sleep with 2 pillows, one for the head, even if we're on our back, and then one beneath the knees, kind of like a bolster for the legs. If you're on your back, if you're on your side, that same second pillow will go between the legs. And then if you're on your stomach, that second pillow will go underneath the hips to support the back as well, so you don't get in this kind of like arched sway back position when sleeping on the stomach. During the examination period, this is a manual here. It's, oh, actually he had 2 questions. Yeah, it said, how about a person who can't sleep at night? So getting that routine will help you to that wind down routine will help you to sleep at night better. You kind of need to have your body in a mood to your body gets used to whatever you give it, right? So if you are worried, say you have chronic insomnia, and not clinical insomnia, but the mental insomnia where you are stressed and your mind is always just kind of on at night and you can't sleep. I used to have this in college, actually, as well. You know, I'm laying in bed and it's 2 in the morning and the mind is just going, you know. What I ended up having to do, I discovered this much later, but having a set bedtime routine and doing that over and over and over again, and then the mind knows, okay, we're shutting down at 11 p.m. We have a hot shower, we drink some chamomile tea, we dim the lights or turn off all the big lights and just have the one side study light on. We read a book, something that's not going to be like super, you know, not a page turner kind of stimulating book, but something interesting but mild enough that we can put it down and go to bed, and maybe we have some light relaxing music on, and that whole process takes about a half hour, and then by 11:30 I'm in bed, lights out, dark room, cool room, no noise, or I have my earplugs in, and do that repeatedly, and over time the body adjusts and you'll be able to get to sleep. I know during exams it's a lot more difficult. You're stressed and you're so, you know, amped up focusing on the test and the exams, but you actually need to sleep to do well on these exams. You'll have a lot more focus. You'll, again, not have that brain fog. You'll have a lot sharper cognition. You'll be able to think of the answers a lot more quickly if you're properly slept. I think that was the last question. So yeah, we're good there. If there's anything else anyone wants to add before I kick it back over to Robert, please let me know. If not, yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you all, and I look forward to hearing about your successes in the future.
Yes, you're right on the page of what I'm thinking about. See if this sits well with you, Adrian. At the beginning, remember when Adrian was asking you, almost like a time capsule, what's your idea of fitness? What could you add to your routine? What are the stresses of the university, and how can fitness and overall wellness impact those stresses? Now think of all you've learned today. And again, we're going to have this video for you and links, and see how your initial answers are already informed and redefined. So I'm just adding to what Adrian brought to you in the beginning and how it can come full circle. And I'm thinking, Adrian, because this is so exciting and you've been so empathetic to the scholars' needs. It's the end of October and we have November and December. A lot of people have New Year resolutions, but you in many ways have helped us already have New Year resolutions. Think of, Adrian talked about strengths and what we all do best. Think of what stands out to you about our very special presentation today, what Adrian has talked about, and what has resonated with you, how you've participated, and see how you can make adjustments and follow through. And maybe we can check in with you in one way, shape, or form right after the holidays in the new year and see how today's seminar has impacted you, how you've made some subtle shifts. And don't forget those fitness journals. Am I on the right track on this, Adrian? Do you like what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I did have a note to circle back to the questions at the top that I completely skipped. So no, it's great that you brought that up because I completely missed it. So yes, that was something I wanted you all to do, is to, now that the talk is complete, take a moment to think about the answers to the questions I posed at the beginning of the talk, and see how your answers have changed, and see what you can add to those questions now, right? Like maybe some of them were blank, or maybe you didn't know what health was, or know what fitness was, etc. Or you had a different answer for it. How is it different? How can you take the things from this talk and implement them, right? Like, as I said, I hope that you would leave this call with tools and the ability to take some actual tangibles from this and put them into practice. And so what really stands out to you from this talk? What are you going to implement immediately, and what do you plan to implement over the next 90 or so days going into the new year, and then setting goals for the new year? We're still some time away, but you can start thinking about those right now. It's never too early to set your goals, and goals always ladder up to each other, right? So if you have one big goal, right, to finish university, graduating with a 4.0 GPA, let's just say, and getting placement at a big company, right? That's your really big goal. Okay, well, we're 3 years away from that. How are we going to get ourselves to that? They all ladder up. So yeah, that's fantastic. I would love to check in January and see where everyone's at, and run this call back, and just hear how well the fall went, and what we're focusing on for 25.
Well, we are really grateful for that. We will love to check in with you. And it's just uncanny, when I had the pleasure of meeting Adrian in England and having some food and brainstorming, we do tend to think similarly, don't we? So we're so on the same page, and yet he's added such a new dimension to everything we've been doing with the foundation. I just can't be more grateful or reinvigorated or excited. And thank you again. Maybe a couple of students want to, or Mr. Nesfield or our artist in resident, want to take this time to also thank Adrian, my team members, actually, Ephraim or Mr. Nesfield. I may have lost
No, I'm here.
Ephraim?
I'm here.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I've already said my vote of thanks to Adrian. I sent a message. I just dropped a message, and well, let me still verbally say one or two things. It's so exhilarating hearing Adrian, and we really prepared for this. Although I had some technical issues, but thank God I was able to join up. I'm really excited. I intend to try the pillow concept tonight. The part where you said I have to try the pillow on my hips. Yes, and the water idea too, the healthy hydration processes. So I think it's a wake-up call. Thank you very much for that. And I hope in January, when we get to meet again, perhaps I'll have a better body build, because I'll try those exercises, the training, and using a higher platform for my legs and all that. Thank you very much. God bless you so much. It's good to have you with us. We hope to see you more of you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the kind words. I see there was one comment here from Andy. I want to address that real quick. Just try to get to all the questions here. He wanted to know if I had any advice for someone going into the military service. Just a couple of things. I know that all services are slightly different, but at the end of the day, you're there. You understand why you're there, right? You're there for the reason to serve your country and serve with your brothers and sisters in arms, right? And so you come from all over the country to come together for this reason. There are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days, but it's camaraderie. You're going through it together. You learn a lot about yourself in that process of being able to do hard things and to persevere and get through these hard things. You're there to make a difference, right? It's personal service, even though it's a national service. You're personally signing up and volunteering to do this service for your nation, and that's something to be proud of, but also something that comes with a great deal of responsibility, right? And so just understand that you're when you put the uniform on, you're representing not just yourself, you're representing your country as well. So always carry yourself to the highest standard and with high regard when you're doing that. And do your exercises, because at least for the Army, we had to walk a lot with heavy packs and, you know, body armor, all this sort of stuff. And so if you're not in the gym doing you know, the big 3 weight exercises, so deadlifts, squats, bench press, and then doing a lot of calisthenic exercises to keep yourself limber, and then running, then you're not going to make it, at least not in the units I was in. But you know, again, they're all a little bit different, but just be proud of what you're doing. Know that some days are really going to be challenging, other days are going to be great, and that it's a opportunity to not only represent yourself, but to represent your nation.
Awesome. Awesome. Ephraim, a quick word? Our artist in residence. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for this lesson. Okay, sorry, I just have a quick question. I remember 2 years ago, I started to work, like track my steps and all that. So immediately I wake up in the morning, I do some walks and all, and then I noticed that whenever I came back from those long walks, I get really exhausted, and then I fall asleep for a very long period. And then when I wake up, I'll be like, oh my God, the day is already wasted. So what do you think is the best way to like approach this kind of thing so you don't waste your day after, you know, going for those long walks, because they're supposed to benefit you health-wise. And at the end of the day, like, you sleep and then your day is wasted and all that. So, okay, then finally, I just want to thank you for this session. It's been so insightful. As an artist, I actually needed most of these tips, this exercise, because I wake up, sometimes I draw and then I forget myself in the whole process, and I wake up with, and then I get up with so much back pains, waist pain and all that. And at this young age, I'm not supposed to be experiencing much, but it's just the case, you know, you have to meet up with deadlines, client orders and all that. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. To answer your question with the walking, kind of a question for you. Are you eating before you're going for these walks, or are you eating anything while you're on these walks?
Oh no, I actually go with empty stomach. Like,
that's why you're falling asleep and tired. Your body is pulling all of your energy that you have because you're doing this fasted. And so when you come back home, you're depleted. So yeah, you need to either bring something to eat along the walk or eat something before you go on the walk. And I recommend something, you know, with some carbs in it. So bread, nut butter, you know, fruits, something of that nature is going to give you some energy, both quick energy, like sugars, and then longer energy from like breads and carbohydrates of that nature that are going to stick with you as you're doing the long walk. And you should hopefully, and some water as well, you want to stay hydrated, should hopefully not be as tired afterwards. And you don't need to eat a big meal, like, because you don't want to get cramps or anything like that, but you need to have a little something in you, either when you start or that you can bring with you, you know, as say you're at the halfway point, you're doing a 5-mile walk, at the halfway point, nibble on a little something, or, you know, even just bring a sack of nuts or something, you know, and just eat a handful here and there as you're going through it.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Adrian has been with us a generous 2 hours, so I'm going to let him go. And we've thanked him so many times. I'm trying to think how to end this, but what a blessing you have been to us. I know some of our students went on, but they'll watch the remainder of it on the video. Again, you have just
lights are going out here for some reason.
That's the cue.
Yeah, they're kicking me out of this room.
That's the cue. But thank you so much, because you have brought such positivity and such extra hope to the AAHEF family, and our scholars will not forget all these lessons today. And again, we will be in touch, and let you know about how we've applied all we've learned today. Just thank you so much, our global brother coming in from England, Mr. Adrian Richardson. Everyone unmute and give him applause and thank him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
sir. Really
Adrian.
appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. God bless you, Adrian. We will see you soon.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. Good night.
Okay. Good night now.
Good night.